Sign up for my free daily newsletter, The Current, at getkim.com. All right, so what do you think? Are we alone in the universe? It's a question that has haunted humanity, it seems like forever. And Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, he's never been shy about his answer. As a matter of fact, Dr. Loeb is one of the most influential voices in space science, known for challenging the status quo. Back in 2017, he stunned the world by suggesting that Oumuamua, that bizarre cigar-shaped object that just zipped through our solar system, might not have been a rock at all, but actually alien technology. Now, Oumuamua comes from Hawaii, and it means a messenger from afar arriving first. So now Dr. Loeb's back in the spotlight with 3i Atlas, just the third interstellar object ever discovered. It was first spotted back in April 2024, and it swung past the sun in December, then brushed by Earth a couple weeks later before heading back into deep space. Now, let me tell you, most astronomers say it was simply a comet, but Dr. Loeb points to its laser precision trajectory gliding past Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, as if it was on this programmed route. And he argues that the odds of that happening by chance are almost zero. So what do you think? Just another chunk of cosmic ice and dust, or is it something far more intentional? Dr. Loeb, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with the biggest one. I mean, do you truly believe that we're not alone in the universe? And Doctor, what convinced you of this the most?
Well, it's the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy, 100 billion of them, and there are billions of Earth-Sun analogs, similar to our home. And when you see so many houses on your street, it would be really arrogant of us to assume that they have no residents like us. My colleagues in academia insist of searching for microbes. They say, well, microbes came here on Earth very soon after the Earth cooled. So these houses must host microbes. The only problem is when you look through your window, it's very difficult to tell if houses on the street have microbes. So the mainstream of astronomy has its highest priority to build a space telescope called the Habitable World Observatory that will search for microbes, the chemical fingerprints of microbes in about 25 exoplanets within 2 decades. It will cost more than $10 billion. Wow. And I'm just saying, if there is a resident in one of these houses, we might have an easier time detecting it because it might knock on our front door, or we could see some construction project in its backyard. And I'm just saying, let's hedge our bets. And to me, it sounds much more reasonable. It's a matter of common sense, which is not common in academia.
Yeah, I'm sure you get some heat and you're a little controversial in your thoughts, right?
Well, I try to say what sounds reasonable to me. The fact that others do not find it reasonable, I think, reflects on them, because the public is really curious about this question. The public funds science, and we have an obligation to attend to the public's interests. And we have all the technological capabilities to address this question, especially now when, in the coming decade, the Rubin telescope in Chile will be able to find an interstellar object every few months. That's an object that came from outside the solar system. Now, we can insist that all of them will be rocks, but that's not a wise assumption, because we sent spacecraft out there, and they will exit the solar system in the foreseeable future, and the other civilizations in our cosmic neighborhood may have done the same. So I'm just saying, instead of assuming that these would be icy rocks that we will find those interstellar objects, let's just consider the possibility that one of them might be a tennis ball thrown by a neighbor.
Yeah, they could be. And I'm with you on that. Hey, let's go back to 2017 and Oumuamua. Tell us about that.
That was by chance an object discovered near Earth that happened to have arrived there from outside the solar system. And we knew that because it was moving faster than the speed needed to escape the gravity of the sun. So we can tell that an object came from outside the solar system just by its speed. And this was the first one that was spotted with a high enough speed. And the reason it was flagged is just because it passed near the Earth. And there is this directive from the U.S. Congress to NASA to identify all near-Earth objects just because we are worried that one of them may hit the Earth. So this object did not come very close to Earth, but it passed nearby, and then the astronomers realized that actually it's moving fast enough to have come from outside the solar system. So they assumed that it's a comet. They announced this is a comet. And then we didn't see any evaporation. There was definitely no gas or dust around it. And so it was not a comet. And the amount of light, sunlight that was reflected from it changed by a factor of 10 as it was tumbling every 8 hours. And that meant that it has a very extreme shape, most likely flat. Pancake-like, and moreover, the object was pushed away from the sun by some mysterious force, and it wasn't clear what's doing it because it couldn't be the rocket effect from a cometary evaporation. And so I suggested it's just a reflection of sunlight that is pushing it. And actually, 3 years later, there was an object that was pushed by reflecting sunlight and discovered by the same telescope in Hawaii. And then they realized, in fact, this one is the upper stage, the upper part of a rocket booster that was used by NASA for a lunar mission in 1966. So we knew that this one was technological because we produced it. And the question is, who produced Oumuamua?
Right. That's a really good question. Well, so let's move forward now. Let's talk about 3I Atlas. Now, this is fascinating because you said that its path was like too perfect to be random, and it's not just a regular drive-by the neighborhood. What's going on with that?
Well, yeah, as soon as it was discovered on July 1st, 2025, I realized that it's very bright for its distance. It must be as big as 20 kilometers, or even more recently, Sphere-X Space Observatory that NASA launched earlier this year looked at it, and the research team concluded from the data that it may be even 46 kilometers in diameter. That's huge. That's twice as large as Manhattan Island. And the problem with that is the mass of this object would be 1 million times bigger than the previous interstellar object, either Oumuamua or after that Borisov, which was a comet. And you just don't expect a giant rock of this size to arrive before many small ones would be spotted. There should have been of order 1 million objects like Borisov or Oumuamua discovered before we see something as big as this one. And moreover, there is not enough rocky material in interstellar space to account for the delivery of such a giant rock once per decade, the duration of the survey. You expect once per 10,000 years or more, or longer. And, I then concluded that maybe it is not just a rock on a random trajectory, but in fact, it was targeting the inner solar system. And that would mean that, it was sent by some intelligence, and it's not on a random trajectory. It's going straight into the region where they might have some interest. And then I looked at the trajectory. Turns out that the object is in the same plane as the planets around the sun. And the chance of that actually happening at random is 1 in 500. So why would the third interstellar object lie exactly in the plane of the planet to within 5 degrees? That to me is a mystery. Why would it appear to us so bright that it has to have a mass that is 1 million times bigger than the previous objects that we found? It's possible that it's actually technological. It's possible that it's producing some of the light that we see from it. And then, of course, the rest of the academic community argued that, it's a comet, maybe by chance it happened to be. Okay. Yeah, it's a comet. But the problem is that we don't see a cometary tail. Okay, we don't see, usually what happens from a comet, there is gas and dust evaporating from the surface of an icy rock, and that dust is being pushed backwards by the solar radiation. And the problem is we don't see such a plume of dust trailing the object as it approaches the sun. There is no cometary tail. The best image we had is from the Hubble Space Telescope, and it shows some glow, some scattering of sunlight ahead of the object as it approaches the sun, not behind it. Most recently, SphereX Space Observatory detected carbon dioxide, a big, blob of carbon dioxide released by this object out to very large distances of order a few 100,000 kilometers. Now, the question is, what's the source of this carbon dioxide? And it's possible that the glow of light, I think that is the most likely explanation, it has nothing to do with dust, because then we would see the dust also as a tail, a cometary tail. It's just ices that are warmed up by the sun and detached from the surface of the object, ices of carbon dioxide, and they scatter sunlight, and then they eventually evaporate, and you end up with this plume of carbon dioxide around it. I calculated that if indeed the object is tens of kilometers in diameter, that you just need, even over a period of a decade, 10 years, you just ablate an outer layer that is only a millimeter thick to support the amount of material, the amount of carbon dioxide that we see in that region. So, it's just the outer skin of this object that is being evaporated even over a period of 10 years as it approaches the sun and flies out of it. And so we don't know what lies under that skin at the moment.
Tech is amazing, but it does take a toll on our lives. We're all guilty of spending hours just hunched over our screens, and those times of endless doom scrolling. It's not just draining your mind, it's aging your body too. That's why I take Native Path Collagen every single day. It helps replenish what your body loses over time by repairing joint and skin damage and restoring that youthful glow from the inside out. Outsmart the digital fatigue and take the supplement your tech-filled life needs, Native Path Collagen. Because screen time shouldn't show on your face. You'll feel the difference naturally with my 45% off deal. That's 45% off with free shipping and a free gift bundle. Here's what you need to do. Go to getnativepath.com/Kim. That's getnativepath.com/Kim. Get 45% off right now at getnativepath.com/Kim.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Individual results may vary.
What do you think it is, the 3I Atlas? I mean, you said it's twice the size of Manhattan. This thing's humongous. What do you really think?
Yeah,
what is your gut telling you?
The strange thing is I wrote a paper immediately after it was discovered, and it was obvious to me that something is wrong, that it cannot be just a giant rock of this proportion. My colleagues who are criticizing me in considering the technological origin, they completely ignore this point. They don't even refer to that. They keep arguing about, it looks like a comet because there is carbon dioxide around it. They don't argue about or mention the fact that it doesn't have a tail. They still say it's a comet. Now, with Oumuamua, we had even a more extreme situation where there was no gas detected around it, no carbon dioxide, nothing, and no carbon-based molecules around it. And nevertheless, the folklore right now among comet experts is Oumuamua was a comet. It was a dark comet where the tail exists and it's not visible. And, to me, it reminds me of me being the kid in Hans Christian Andersen's tale, where the kid says the emperor has no clothes. In this case, Oumuamua has no cometary tail because we don't see it. And the adults in the room keep insisting that the emperor has clothes. They are just invisible.
It's so fascinating to me, and that you have always been able to kind of think outside the box, which is so wonderful and controversial. But it also allows us to think, that we are not alone. I mean, I personally, I don't think we're alone because there's just too much going on all around us.
My reason is different. I would argue there is a lot of room for improvement. If there is a class of intelligent civilizations, we're probably in the middle of the class. There is, a smarter neighbor somewhere, and we need to be open-minded to that. Now, of course, it's a blow to our ego. We prefer to think that we are very privileged, but I think it's arrogance, and we already found that this notion is incorrect in the context of us being at the center of the universe. And the next step is for us to mature and realize that there are other kids on the block, and they might be smarter than us.
Now, if aliens are listening right now, what is the first message that we should send them?
Well, my guess is if they arrive at our backyard before we arrive at their backyard, they're probably more advanced technologically than we are. They had more time developing their science and technology. So I would approach them with a sense of humility and say, we seek peace. We want to learn from you, rather than a confrontational approach where, we arrogantly say, we have very successful space entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, and what did you accomplish? Let's check out, or be careful, don't even approach us because, we have weapons that we can use. My sense is if they feel a threat, for us, the experience would be very similar to the Iranian air defense system when the B-2 bombers showed overhead.
We always see aliens and ETs portrayed in Hollywood as little green men, or they have the fingers with the red lights. Is there a Hollywood movie that gets it right, in your opinion?
I think this is like a blind date of interstellar proportions. And as you know I don't know if you went on blind dates, but very often you see the other side in a very different light after the meeting. And that's in case both of you have the same DNA, a human, you both belong to the human species. But just imagine meeting someone from another star. All bets are off, and I think nature is far more imaginative than the scripts that Hollywood producers and directors made. And I would just approach it with a sense of humility and basically observe. The best advice I can give to people going on blind dates is observe the other side, and before you speak or before you have an opinion. And I know that young people do not listen to this advice. They often speak out, and I'm sure there would be humans that would like to tell the aliens things about us. But I think that's a sign of hubris. There was this golden record sent on Voyager, as if, the aliens care about the music we had in the 60s. I mean, even now, I don't regard the music from the 60s as great.
That's for sure. I questioned the golden record myself when I heard about that. I was like, I'm not really sure where that came from.
And also, if you look at the image of a man and a woman, I don't think that would be the way we portray them nowadays.
No, not at all. Not at all. Every time you go online, internet providers track your every move. Here in the United States, they're selling our browsing history, even in private mode. Until that becomes illegal, protect yourself like I do with ExpressVPN, an easy-to-use app that encrypts and reroutes all your internet traffic through secure servers. By using ExpressVPN, my internet provider cannot see my browsing history. I can hide my IP address, the number identifying me, and my location online. And I can change my IP address to be more anonymous online. With servers in over 100 countries, I can appear virtually anywhere I choose. ExpressVPN is so easy to use. Get connected with a single button, with apps for every device like phones, laptops, desktops, and tablets. Get up to 4 months of ExpressVPN for free at expressvpn.com/Kim. That's expressvpn.com/Kim. Go now while you're thinking about it. Get up to 4 extra months of ExpressVPN for free right now at expressvpn.com/Kim. Just one last question. If tomorrow morning we all woke up and there was undeniable proof that these aliens do exist and they do have a superior intelligence, how would our lives change?
Oh, it will change dramatically because, first of all, that there is a question of whether they are hostile or friendly, and if we are not sure, we have to protect the Earth, and we will have to establish an array of spacecraft around the sun that monitors our cosmic neighborhood and reports back to Earth. Sort of like an alert system, and perhaps even a defense system of interceptors that carry some nuclear weapons, perhaps. That's in case we are worried about the threat. But beyond that, if you think about humanity, the human state of mind, it will change our perspective about our place in the universe. Currently we are focused on conflicts here on Earth, and that's very narrow-minded because we invest $2.4 trillion in military budgets. And I think what would happen is that we will start feeling that we are all in the same boat, that we should cooperate rather than kill each other on this rock that we were born on. And that would mean investing a fraction of this defense budget in space exploration. And perhaps it will also bring a better sense of the meaning to our lives, because now there would be something more important than just fighting over territories on this rock, or zero-sum games that we often engage in that are very narrow-minded. It's if we go back and hear what was said by Oscar Wilde. He said that we are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. And I think what would happen is we would realize really that the gutter is not worth our attention, that we really need to aspire to be among the stars, because that's where most of the real estate is. That's where the long-term future of humanity will be. And I very much hope that it will inspire us to be better.
I often thought, kind of what you were saying, that that aliens, they would look down and they would see Earth, this rock, as you say, and we have nuclear weapons pointed at each other. That's so crazy.
I mean, that's already a sign that we are not very intelligent. So one reason that they may have not revealed their existence to us is that they were pretty disappointed until now as to what we're doing here. And one sign of us being more intelligent than we were in the past is to recognize that they exist. And why should I be controversial in suggesting that? The fact that people attack me for just making this possibility studied scientifically already tells you that, we are filled with a sense of self-importance instead of just looking up and finding out our place in our cosmic neighborhood.
Well, Doctor, thank you so much for being so smart and sharing your knowledge with us today. It's amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Let me tell you, that guy is so smart. Dr. Loeb reminds us that space isn't just all these pretty lights up in the sky. It's actually full of mysteries that we haven't really even begun to crack. I mean, maybe 3I Atlas is just another comet, or maybe it's something else entirely different. Either way, it's a great reminder that we need to keep asking the big question. Are we really alone out here? Because one day we just might get a definitive answer.